Hello everyone. Our today's topic is pleura. This is the third and last lecture on the pleura. This lecture I will start with the pleural recess. You know that pleura having a two layer, outer layer and inner layer. Outer layer is called parietal layer, inner layer is called visceral layer, and in between the two layers there is a cavity is there. This cavity is called pleural cavity. The pleural cavity, it is the narrow interval between the parietal and visceral layer. We can say that it is only a capillary interval between the two layers, and this pleural cavity contains the serous fluid. On each side, the pleural cavity at two places, it is larger. And this larger pleural cavity, it is roughly called pleural recess. Now you know that respiration is occur in two phases, inspiration and expiration. During inspiration, air is enter in the lung, so naturally the size of the lung is increased. And during expiration, air is going outside the lung, so the size of the lung is reduced. So, exact definition of pleural recess. The part of the pleural cavity which is not occupied by the lung during the normal respiration, it is called pleural recess. Again, part of the pleural cavity which is not occupied by the lung during the normal respiration, it is called pleural recess. Pleural recess, it is a dead space or extra space for the deep respiration. It is a dead space or extra space for the deep respiration. On each side, the two pleural recesses are present. Now, first recess is called costodiaphragmatic recess. Costodiaphragmatic recess. So, first we will see about costodiaphragmatic recess. You know that in last lecture I told that in the mid-clavicular line, costal pleura is extend up to 8 rib. In mid-clavicular line, costal pleura extend up to 8 rib. In mid-axillary line, costal pleura extend up to 10th rib, and mid-scapular line, costal pleura is extend up to the 12th rib. Costal pleura, it is a part of parietal pleura. It means that the parietal pleura in mid-clavicular line extend up to 8 rib, mid-axillary line extend up to 10th rib, and mid-scapular line extend up to the 12th rib. So extent of parietal pleura, mid-clavicular line up to 8 rib, mid-axillary line up to 10th rib, and mid-scapular line up to 12th rib. Now we see the lung. In mid-clavicular line, lung is extend up to 6 rib. In mid-axillary line, lung is extend up to 8 rib, and mid-scapular line, lung is extend up to the 10th rib. Means extension of lung in mid-clavicular line 6 up to 6 rib, mid-axillary line up to 8 rib, and mid-scapular line up to 10th rib. So lung is covered by visceral pleura. So visceral pleura, it is intimate relation with the lung, and we can't separate the visceral pleura from the lung. It means that extent of the lung, it is extent of visceral pleura. So visceral pleura It is extend in mid-clavicular line up to 6 rib, a mid-axial line up to 8 rib, and mid-scapular line up to 10th rib. So space between the visceral layer and parietal layer, it is called pleural cavity. So here in mid-clavicular line, between the visceral layer and parietal layer, the space is large. And this space is extend from 6 to 8 rib. In mid-axial line, pleural cavity extend from 8 to 10th rib. And mid-scapular line, it extends from 10 to 12th rib. Again, in mid-clavicular line, pleural cavity extend up to 6 to 8 rib. Mid-axial line extend from 8 to 10th rib. And mid-scapular line extend from 10 to 12th rib. So this wider space, it is called costodiaphragmatic recess. And this costodiaphragmatic, why it is called costodiaphragmatic recess? Because this recess at the junction of costal pleura and diaphragmatic pleura. It is at the junction of costal pleura and diaphragmatic pleura. So it is called costodiaphragmatic recess. Costodiaphragmatic recess extending from 6 to 8 rib in mid-clavicular line, 8 to 10th rib into the mid-clavicular line, and 8 to 10th rib in mid-axial line, and 10 to 12th rib in the mid-scapular line. Now, and this costodiaphragmatic recess is the most lower part of the pleural cavity. Now, second recess, it is called costomediastinal recess. Costomediastinal recess. Now, before we deal with costomediastinal recess, first about see this is the visceral pleura and this is the parietal pleura. So this is the costodiaphragmatic recess on both the sides. Since. Now, second recess is costomediastinal recess. Costomediastinal recess situated behind the sternum and behind the second, third, and fourth costal cartilage. Behind the sternum and behind the second, third, and fourth costal cartilage. And this recess, it is larger on the left side due to the cardiac notch in the left lung. Due to the cardiac notch on left lung, it is wider on the left side. And this recess, it is lying at the junction of costal pleura and mediastinal pleura. So it is called costomediastinal recess. So it is called costomediastinal recess. Now see in this diagram, this is the costal pleura, this is the mediastinal pleura, and this is the costomediastinal recess. It is situated behind the sternum. This is costomediastinal recess. Now we come to the blood supply and nerve supply. Blood supply and nerve supply of the pleura. Now first the blood supply. First we will see the visceral pleura. Visceral pleura covers the lung and it intimate relation with the lung. So naturally artery which supply the lung, it is also supply the visceral pleura. So lung is supplied by bronchial artery. So visceral pleura is also supplied by bronchial artery. And vein is drained by bronchial vein. Lung is drained by bronchial vein. So visceral pleura is also drained by bronchial vein. Now parietal pleura, it covers the body wall. It covers the body wall. So naturally artery supplying the wall of the thorax, different wall of the thorax, it is also supplying the parietal pleura. So wall of the thorax is supplied by intercostal artery, internal thoracic artery, and musculophrenic artery. Intercostal arteries, internal thoracic artery, and musculophrenic artery, and these artery, it is also supply the parietal pleura. Also supply the parietal pleura, and vein drain the parietal pleura, it is open into the intercostal vein, internal thoracic vein, and musculophrenic vein. Now nerve supply. Visceral pleura covers the lung. Lung is a viscera and viscera, they are supplied by autonomic nerve. So visceral pleura is also supplied by autonomic nerve, sympathetic and parasympathetic. And that is why due to the supply of autonomic nerve, visceral pleura is a pain insensitive. Visceral pleura is pain insensitive. Now parietal pleura, we see the nerve supply of parietal pleura. So this cervical pleura, costal pleura, and peripheral part of diaphragmatic pleura. Again, cervical pleura, costal pleura, and peripheral part of diaphragmatic pleura supplied by intercostal nerve. Supplied by intercostal nerve. The central part of diaphragmatic pleura and mediastinal pleura. Central part of diaphragmatic pleura and mediastinal pleura, it is supplied by phrenic nerve. Supplied by phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve is also supplied the diaphragm muscle. Now we come to the applied anatomy of lung. Applied anatomy of lung. You know that pleural cavity contains the little serous, very thin film of serous fluid. But in some condition, air, blood, pus, or serous fluid may collected in the pleural cavity. Now, suppose if there is an accident. In accident, if there is a wound is here, and with wound there is a fracture of the rib is there. So naturally, content of the ribs, they are not smooth, they are pointed. And during the respiration, ribs are moving. So the pointed end of the fractured rib, it may perforate the parietal peritoneum. It may perforate the parietal peritoneum. And due to the wound, the air from the outside, it is may collected in the pleural cavity. So when the air is collected in the pleural cavity, at that time size of the pleural cavity enlarge. And this condition, it is called pneumothorax. It is called pneumothorax. Due to the wound and accident, sometimes blood is collected in the pleural cavity. If the blood is collected in the pleural cavity, this condition is called hemothorax. Hemothorax. Sometimes air and blood both are collected in the pleural cavity. When air and blood both are collected in the pleural cavity, this condition is called hemopneumothorax. It is called hemopneumothorax. Sometimes larger amount of serous fluid is collected in the pleural cavity, and normally it is occur in the patient of tuberculosis. If the serous fluid is collected in the pleural cavity, this condition is called pleural effusion. It is called pleural effusion. Sometimes with serous fluid, air is also collected in the pleural cavity. Air and serous fluid both are collected in pleural cavity, and this condition is called hydropneumothorax. Hydropneumothorax. If the pus is collected in the pleural cavity, this condition is called empyema. This condition is called empyema. Sometimes with pus, air is also collected in the pleural cavity. When the air and pus both are collected in pleural cavity, this condition is called pyoneumothorax. This condition is called pyoneumothorax. Anything, either air, fluid, pus or blood collected in the pleural cavity, so naturally all the structure, they compress the lung. And they not allow the free movement of the lung, so lung is not properly expanded. This is our topic is over, and today's lecture is over.